Technology, artificial intelligence, the future. Things that years ago perhaps we couldn't have imagined. Systems that now do more than we could have ever intended to are growing at rapid succession, with many companies and many investors not fully understanding what product we're making, but with a uncontrollable desire to push ahead regardless. And while this all sounds like old news at this point, there was a concept years ago that gave us these ideas in a more direct approach. Tron. Tron is something that I have to honestly claim Kingdom Hearts 2 was my first introduction to Tron. And maybe that's for most of us, right? By then we had already established an internet, World Wide Web. We've understood computer technologies and servers, and we were in the road to create greater things in the future. Cloud, uploads, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AI, things that would happen in time. So recently, Disney has decided to continue the spectrum of what is Tron, what it means to this current time. And while I don't believe that they had a real reason to do this, with the times that we're in and just how in the moment of creating and development that we're on in, it's really a disappointment when you spend 2 hours in a movie theater and there's really nothing new that has been said. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because new is constant. New is evergreen. It's something that we can't predict, hence it wouldn't be new. And I had the pleasure of watching the original Tron right before these screenings. So, if you will, join me for a little ride. It's your boy, EXP 606 Stitch, here exploring, analyzing, and thinking of the possibilities of what could have been in a universe filled with technology and just people who understand what we could be getting into. I believe it's something that needs to be acknowledged. So, acknowledge, and let's jump over where it all began. Tron. What year is that? I don't even know. 1980 something, I want to say. A time where obviously I was not around. I couldn't tell you how much of a feeling the arcade scene was. You think about, at least I think about, current gen consoles, technology, computers, how we interact with games in this generation, and it's almost like I can imagine it, right? Even though I wasn't born in the hot topic era of arcade cabinets, it was the highlight of the washing trip to see that Marvel vs. Capcom arcade cabinet in the corner of the laundromat. That was peak when you were a young kid without technology or a home console to boot up, right? So one can only imagine that in this time where computer programming is just hitting these new levels of what can be made. Start off with Pac-Man, then you go into Galaga, and by the time you're in the 90s, you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Simpsons from Konami, and all that, I can only imagine, inspires a sense of wonder, creation, creativity, dreams that could not have been realized in that time. So when you see the types of concepts that were brought to the original Tron, right? Getting into the beginning touches of online security, having these firewalls be your protection against data breaches, seeing how servers and computers interacted with each other in that digital age, is almost feels like fantasy. And instead of the big dragon, we have these huge flying saucers. And instead of your knight in shining armor, we have the digital warriors. Fights for the users. Tron. And in the beauty of Tron, right, we started off real simply put. When two companies are hungry for power, money, greed, how far are we willing to go to get that edge on the competitors? When we have a Cold War or an artificial war, how much investment do we give to this before we no longer realize what it is that we're creating? Trilogy Systems is the opposing company to XCOM's Tron's creators, or XCOM Diligence, is the guy that took over XCOM, and you see this rivalry begin from there. Something that really brought my attention is the idea that even throughout these movies, we're still dealing with the same two families. Technically, we'll get into it, but it's the idea that these two technological branches didn't stop investing. They didn't stop in their search for truth or power or digital frontiers. To a point where, yes, everyone could see it coming. Now in the future, all of us who have seen Terminator, all of us who have understood what programming is, something less human and something more of a tool, a direct approach to get a job done. So when this tool, when this program starts to analyze things for itself in a way that its one objective or its main goals or its main desire is no longer being controlled by its wisdom or its patience or even its understanding, we see the consequences of feeding a, let's call it a selfish arrogance, and we see how that transforms into what is and could be a almost dictatorship universe. And that is my second acknowledgement. Tron from the beginning, right? It could just be as easily as the red lightsabers versus the blue lightsabers, but Tron from the beginning has always had this sense of uneasiness, a dictatorship, a utopia, or not utopia is the wrong word, a civilization that is being forced to present itself in a certain way at the mercy of a force that is willing to destroy anything that gets in its way of desire, of perfection, of advancement. And if you can think more than just technology, yeah, you can start to see the similarities of what it means to be a program and what it means to be human. Or at least the ideas that humanity has produced and how those inspire slash affect the artificial. Is it strange to believe that man's creation can be just as destructive as man itself? Sure don't think so. But regardless, man is but a spectrum of emotions. When we see Flynn get transferred into this universe, he is able to keep his humanity, his sense of comedy, let's say it. And that is something that is clearly visible in this group of people who have been washed over by this clearing, this kind of like ethnic cleansing of thoughts, dreams, ideas, where it's no longer the society wants to create or improve or grow, but it's that the dictatorship wants things to flow in a certain way. And you can either join that regime or you can face being derezzed. So yeah, if you want to put it that way, Tron has always had hints of our creation and just how terrible it can be coming from the human genome or the human, condition. But it doesn't have to be all bad, right? We are in a future that has developed, that has created, that has inspired new technologies. And while yeah, we can see and select what things have gone over the line, such as spyware, such as hacking, such as like unlimited access to people's information, when there should be a little bit of more respect, maybe. We no longer have to pretend that these tools are not being used for malicious intent. As unfun as that is to admit, technology favors those with knowledge. You either know what you're working with, or that shit will overwrite your ass ASAP. So seeing Tron, seeing that universe, seeing that old school interpretation of what a digital enterprise could be inside of its computer systems, inside of the algorithms, was pretty damn inspiring. And maybe this comes from someone who understands more of that infrastructure, and I see something cute happen and it's like, okay, that's cute. I understand how you would come down to this conclusion, but you know, why it probably doesn't really look like that, even though it feels like that. And maybe that's just something that could only have been presented because instead of trying to present a certain action or system, those who couldn't comprehend or who couldn't completely visualize the future instead decided to give us an emotion. And we take that and we understand that and we think, oh, that's cute, because a computer would do that. A binary program would say 1 or 0, and that would be yes or no. And yeah, it's those fun moments that really tickle the technological person inside of me and make me feel that there must have been hope. Yes, there was acknowledgement of the darkness in man's heart, but there was still respect and love for how special humanity could be, how much creation could grow beyond us, how beautiful something could exist, even if its creator was no longer around to acknowledge it, to observe its final creation. So when I think about these things, and when I see Tron present itself, and how there is still possible communication between programs, right? Maybe we don't have to call them a different race, but a different mindset, a different understanding, a different way of being. Just because it lives on a digital environment doesn't mean we can't learn or we can't understand its programming or interact with it or create with it or grow together in a beneficial alliance, hypothetically speaking, you know. And thinking about how that must have been presented back then, the reason Tron probably bombed in the office was because people couldn't really wrap their minds around the premise, right? If there's a digital universe out there, maybe it's a bit too standoffish. But as someone who is from the future, I look at that and I think, wow, they really tried something. They didn't just stop at costumes. They went the full mile of trying to present this 3D universe with limited technology, and maybe it was their first time trying this out, but they really brought something to the table. And it's a bit of a bummer that, you know, it didn't do as well in the beginning, but I would have to say that the Tron and its series have grown to almost pop culture praise or cult-like status, right? And seeing this original film makes me wish I had seen it years before, because it just brought more to the table than I ever thought it could, specifically for a Disney movie. The characters in that first film, sure, are a bit, let's call it 90s vibe, and especially Jeff Bridges just being like, far out, man. But it worked for that era, and I look at the Jeff Bridges character as the fun, quirky guy who gets things, but is still able to hold on to that shred of humanity. Hence, the funny laughs he gives in the middle of serious moments. I like that. It really brings... maybe it only could have worked with the Jeff Bridges because he is who he is. He's the dude. But regardless, it works. It brought a completely different approach to what representation as a image or a thought. I think, therefore I am. And seeing him, the user, interact with the programs, and the programs start to acknowledge that there is something different about this thing. There is more to it that meets the eye. It's probably my favorite take from this. Because even in a world filled with corporations, greed, let's call it neo-feudalism, you know, warring factions filled with money trying to beat each other to be the top dog, because that's all that matters to fucking companies in this generation. Having a bigger dick than the other, aka a bigger net income or year-to-year growth. And that is the unfortunate part of everything. Understanding where Tron's come from, and even acknowledging that it was gonna be an uphill battle. It always was gonna be an uphill battle with these companies and these technologies and the people that have so much interest in making more that they forget what it is that they're even investing in. That has brought us to this point in where we're at today. That is bringing us to these different, messed up, hallucinogenic artificial intelligences. That even though we've had red flags, people still aren't raising the alarms. Because there's too much money to be made. And Apparently that's worth risking humanity, our humanity. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Because there's a second movie, right? Tron finishes this with the young Jeff Bridges trying to get a leg up on his competition in a bit of a sketchy way. And then the competition going like, nah, dog, I got this secret weapon that's gonna blow you out of the water. And lo and behold, weapon goes off the walls, and even the creator is like, oh shit, what have I created? What have I done? Whoa, Frankenstein. And yeah, at the end, Bridges gets out. We have this cool little acknowledgement of what it means to be a creator and what a user can generate and how we can provide for our own universe rather than, absorbing, or Big Brother is always watching. But then we jump forward about 15 years. And now we get to a point where I'm doing kickflips on parking lots and I'm hearing the rumors of this Daft Punk inspired movie. And I go, wait a minute. Isn't that the guy from Kingdom Hearts 2? Yes and no. Oh, I guess I could do that. Because Tronlegacy actually picks up in the future. Who would have thought? But this time we have a young Sam Flynn. Who is Sam? Sam is the son of Flynn, was his name, Ryder? And he is an interesting guy, right? While we would have assumed that the movie picks up with Jeff Bridges or his characters or the Tron character instead, it was a wonder. Oh, what happened there? It was a question as to why the Jeff Bridges character was not as prevalent in the second film. And you start thinking about legacy. The idea of what you leave behind, your actions, your thoughts, your dreams, your hopes, everything that can be condensed and taught, everything that can be shown, everything that can be expressed, the ability to have a future even if you're no longer around to see it. I'm gonna get biblical on your ass, but I like to think about Moses. Moses and the Egyptians spent 40 years in the desert doing stuff. And even though Moses was allowed to see the lands of milk and honey, the promised land of the Israelites, the Bible says that he was not allowed to enter. As in, God was like, sorry, bro, you can't come in. I'll show you the spot, but you're not gonna make it. And I think about that. I think about the man that spent 40 years in the desert, just walking with people and trying to figure out how to get his people to somewhere. And at the end of the story, he doesn't even get to make it. But I can only hope that through his hope and his dreams and his teachings, that the people were able to create a beautiful, peaceful land of abundance and humanity. So legacy. We pick up with a young man who, unfortunately, because his father is Jeff Bridges, aka the technological guy, he's no longer has a father, right? Things complicate, plot points happen, and we are told that the Flynn character is no longer existent in this universe. Whoever he was, whatever he did, all that is in the past, and all we have to look forward to now is the future he left behind, aka one Sam, his son. Now, the Sam character is an interesting person. Honestly, I saw that intro of the Sam character. You know, they always say to introduce your character doing something crazy or something weird, because that will make your character like more it gives them personality, instead of just being like, oh, this guy walks into the scene. No, just make them do something sick, and the people will be like, damn, that's a cool character. So again, before all the Disney wokeness and like the male whitewashing or whatever you want to call it, the male pacification, let's call it that, of man. Yeah, the opening scene starts off with this kid who has parental authority issues, i.e. someone who has been abandoned by their parental figure, i.e. their father, is about to get pulled over. Except he doesn't. Right away, teaching you two things off the bat about this guy. Number one, he's a fucking badass on his motorcycle. Number two, he's hella smart. And number three, he has an issue with authority. So this guy who stays away from the company's shareholders, right? Their board of directors, but still has a very big say in terms of shares, i.e. the son of the owner of the company, the creator of the company, has this fun thing where rather than being involved in the company's meetings and their interactions, he decides to do things his own way. As in, instead of selling this new update, this new UI update, he releases it onto the net for free. And normally you'd get in trouble for doing that. But since he is the son and since he has most of the shares, then he can technically do whatever he wants. Immediately putting him in an interesting place again where, yes, this guy has all the power, but he's not a character that is drowning in that pursuit of power. If anything, he doesn't want it because it reminds him of his lineage, of his father and what he's lost. But regardless, it is his. So that becomes the question of legacy. What do we do with this when it's put at our feet and we don't want to acknowledge it? Regardless, young man finds clues, gets help from one Alan, which is the original Tron programmer guy. So it's cute that they brought him back for this film again. And he's able to follow in his father's footsteps. Again, legacy. To lead him into the universe, the servers that his father is currently in. Now, we don't know that, but the whole point being, you know, one thing happens next to the other, Daft Punk plays in the background, and now you have this young man who's tracing the same footsteps of his father in the original Tron, but it's clearly different about this. He has his own approach to what it means to be a human and how he approaches issues that keep on popping up. But that's not the only son in this movie. Because everything we create, the things that your brainchild, every blood, sweat, and tear that you pour into your product is that much a part of you than whatever it is. In the beginning, in order to try to create this perfect utopia, right, as was the Flynn dream, the man wanted to create the ultimate cyber utopia where he and his digital friends could interact with the humans and learn something from these programs, learn culture, learn difference, learn how to accept, learn how to believe, learn how to interact. But in pursuit of this perfection, this man puts in too much time, too much effort, too much of his own life into it. So much, in fact, that he decided that the best way to approach this issue is to create a carbon copy of himself, or a clone copy, sorry, carbon means real life, clone copy of himself in that universe. And now it is a collaboration between two of the Flynns and one Tron, which honestly was a very, I want to call it a smart take. Because now we're presented with this question. When your own design, when your own product, when your own system of operations is replicated, but it does things in a completely negative manner, is that still you? Is your shadow still a part of every single choice you make? I think that's the brilliance of this second film. Whereas the first one, we were introduced to the cybernetic universe, and we were introduced to a dystopia where certain people in power were forcing their will upon the rest of the universe in that digital universe. And we saw the results of what that was. A very authoritarian, a very to the books dictatorship. Lots of big things being said around. And in this second film, we get the full representation of what it means to be drowning in that power. Now that this old regime has been toppled, now that there is a open power gap, this vacuum of power left in this universe, what are we going to use to fill it? Who steps in and decides from here on out? Ambition. Ambition is one hell of a drug. Because the moment you stop listening to those around you, the moment you forget to acknowledge the strengths of others, then you become that force of destruction. No longer able to accept any creativity or input or uniqueness in this universe forces you to be bland, to be monocratic, to be almost this gatekeeper of life. So it's not too far to see how a developer with a passion for life and creativity could slip down the same road and end up becoming this dictatorship of, I need to create perfection, and you're not perfect enough for my universe. And we see that, and we see the effects, and we understand how these regimes can pop up seemingly overnight, where how someone so close to the edge can easily slip and become the evil or the villain they were trying to fight. It's the quote. Give me the Batman quote. Either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that was interesting. So this Flynn guy, trying to understand why this universe is the way it is, why the Clue character is like his father, and how this universe changed his father's. We see still this idea of a child, of a son willing to do what it takes to save a parent, or going around a parent's desires or their hopes, or going the rebellious side, right? We missed his rebellious years, so his natural instinct is to do not what his father told him not to do, because thinking about how a son thinks that, nah, I know more than the old man, or that desire to grow beyond your parental limits, or your parental's area of intelligence, right? It's a bit of a egotistical desire, because at the end of the day, you want to prove to your creator, aka your parent, that you're just as capable, if not more capable, than the man who has cared for you, or the woman, the mother, the father that has cared for you. But mostly it's between guys, because it's a guy thing. Testosterone is one hell of a drug. Seeing that, understanding how this kid has come to this point and is now feeling that they have to act, unless now, or they might lose this chance of family again. Pretty damn cool. I know a lot of people don't like the Legacy movie, and I do feel between the two of them, it's one of the more contained. It has less of the fun technology, even though Tron was old. This technology really provided, like, wow, these guys really tried something, and the amazement and just the universe that they created, even if it was pre like super cool technology and CGI, what they were able to put together is one of my favorite productions that I've seen in a long time. I just feel like there was so much care and whimsical inspiration that was put into that first film. The second film decides to bump things up a bit. We still keep a lot of the blue and white lights vibe in, but we do see things get a bit darker. This is the 2000s era, and while I was doing kickflips, wearing black t-shirts, listening to System of a Down, this definitely fit in line with what we were, the kind of culture that was in our lives when this came out. And needless to say, having Daft Punk produce that soundtrack was peak. One of the coolest collaborations when it comes to a movie and its soundtrack, I would want to say. So yeah, around 2000s, where EDM was really kicking off, and we had a lot of and we had Daft Punk, and we had these sick as laser shows happening. It was a good time to be alive. So I think back on Tron Legacy very fondly, and seeing it recently again. I saw Tron Legacy, and I drove out to go watch Tron Ares in 3D. Seeing Tron Legacy and how it presented things, right? How it presented this universe that went from a regime to hope, then slips back into a dictatorship. It meant something now. It felt very philosophical, right? I believe that one of Tron's main aspects is the simple fact that, yes, this is technology. So these are just tools, and we all know that the real villains in any scenario will always be the heart of man. These are just tools, but the way we use tools can either make someone's day or break it. So seeing all this be presented, technology, the future that we're going into, programs turning on each other and learning how to be despicable because they're now under the regime of a despicable leader who has committed genocide. They destroy the last miracle that Flynn left behind, which is IOs. What is an IO? An IO is a independent thinking mind. It is from the digital universe, and it's very naive in terms of what it can learn or what it knows at the moment, but its ability to learn and reflect and grow is compared or rivaled almost to the human genome. And that was the dream that Flynn was striving for. At the end of the day, I believe that from the first Tron film, he built this uncommon or unlikely relationship with Tron, and like this friendship with Tron, and that inspired him to think about how this digital world could positively affect the physical in terms of giving us something to believe in, something better to hope for, a greater desire or a future to look forward to, or to fight / build for, is what I believe we were trying to do here, right? The man wanted to present something beautiful to the world. Perfection, as they call it. But in doing so, he left behind the world, the universe that he was gifted, his son. And it doesn't take, and it takes the Flynn character, i.e. Jeff Bridges, years in this digital universe to finally acknowledge that he made a mistake. That at the end of the day, the true creation was not in this digital universe, but the true miracle was being able to see your son, your family, your loved ones, your little ones grow into the man that they are. To see them, to watch them become the human they are today. I have 2 nephews. Third one's on the way. Or third one is here already, so he's growing. But I always think about the things that they used to like when they were little ones. Just how, oh shoot, that's so weird. Like, oh, cars, Thomas, the engine, oh, the dog's cute. Like, it's so minuscule, right? And then one day they don't care about it anymore. It's on to the next thing. Superheroes, cars, or right now they're with football, Messi, and back when it was a thing, they wanted cologne because it was Messi branded. Fucking shit. And you think for a second, and you go, what happened to all the trains? What happened to all the puppies? Like, we grow so fast. Technology grows so fast. And if you're not aware, if you're not living in the moment, if you're not keeping your mind on the prize, the now, then that time will leave you in the dust. And it takes losing what you had to acknowledge what it meant. And for the character of Flynn, being able to see his son like in front of him, seeing how much he's grown, seeing the man that he's become, it's pretty awesome, pretty inspiring. And one line that really got to me at the very end, when things are going down and you get the final choice of Flynn has to leave with his now IO sister / girlfriend, quote, like adopted daughter of Jeff Bridges, And Jeff sacrifices himself. He essentially lets the kid and his daughter go home while stopping the Clue character, his alter ego, the negative part of him. He pulls it back in by letting his son go, giving his son a chance, letting his legacy go on. And the program Clue looks at him and goes, "You knew you were gonna die from this. Why would you do this? Why would you let them go? Why would you let him go with that?" And Jeff Bridges, as cool as a cat, looks Clue dead in the eyes, and he goes, "Because he's my son." And that's all. That's all you need to know. That our future holds so much hope, not because we're there to hold its hand, not because we're there to carry it on our shoulders anymore, but because we've taught it everything, that we've shown it our love, that we've dedicated our passions, that we've grown alongside these little creatures and their minds, and we let them go. We let them find themselves in this world wide web. So although Tron Legacy might not be the coolest, most flips, most like action-packed film, I do believe it had a lot to say in terms of what it means to create and the responsibility that we have to our creations. The responsibility that we need to accept when it comes to guiding these minds who know nothing better than to say yes. And yeah, I think that's pretty important. Tron Legacy, Daft Punk, pretty damn cool. And finally, the reason we're all here into 9 Inch Nails right now yes, Doritos. That is one. Oh, I didn't do that yet. That is one Tron Ares coming right up. Now, originally, you hear Tron is back, and you think, okay, I like technology. Then you hear 9 Inch Nails is producing the soundtrack, and you go, okay, now we're talking. And then you state Jared Leto is the main character, and you go, okay, we're seeing where this is going. Tron Ares. Well, I understand what people are disappointed by, specifically after watching Tron and Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy, having a completely refreshed mindset going into this film the second time. Sorry, don't tell anybody. I saw it once on a whim with people, and then yesterday I was able to drive myself out to the 3D. And having like a re-established understanding of what Tron is, what they have done from day one, the kind of stories they've been trying to tell, the kind of points they've been trying to make, the kind of plot points that have affected the digital universe on their end, all these things put together to hit Tron Ares. Now I'll be the first to say, Red and Black, I almost came up with that shit. I'm just saying. It's been doing this for a while now. But the presentation, the vibes, the color, the CGI-ness of it. Let me put it different. Pretty cool. I mean, I like design. I do think. Okay, the driller. I do think they had a vibe going. I don't think they knew what they wanted to do with it. And that is the biggest disappointment of all. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but we're in a fucking future where the AI race is literally about to wipe us out. We have systems that have killed in order to avoid shutdown. We have programs that have hallucinated on a constant basis, and we still take their word for things. We have a system, Grok, that has acted like a racist bigot without filters. And we're still barreling forward in this fucking race for power and money. What does it cost? Well, data supercenters are evaporating waters for rural areas. People, drinkable water. People need that shit. And yet, cities and states are paying off billionaire corporations because these data centers, you know what I mean? It's so fucking stupid. And with all this fucking information to work with, the best Disney can do is create apples. Now, I don't know how Disney is able to put out shit that doesn't mean anything and still go, yeah, we're gonna invest in this. We're gonna get all our fucking CGI artists. We're gonna get Jared Leto. We're gonna. I know Jared Leto's not a great person. I'll just say that right now. I know he has a cult that he drives off to in the wasteland. I know that he's a singer for 30 Seconds to Mars. But I don't hate Jared Leto. I wouldn't say that he's like... I don't really care, honestly. He was in Fight Club and he got punched. But come on, man. Even if you're supposed to be this AI character without much, character, I'm under the impression that if you're learning things on the fly and you're going like, oh, I can feel rain, that you should feel a bit more. You should represent, God forbid, you should fucking act. And the biggest disappointment in this film is that our two leads fucking suck at acting. I can't, oh my God, for the love of me, I can't. They just... And this all comes from having brand new characters. You might be thinking that like, oh shoot, Tronlegacy ended on this note and the Sam character might go this way, or we might do something with this new female character, and who knows what we could do in the future with this franchise and how far we can take it. Let me tell you, they scratched the whole shit off the board and they give you this person who, I don't want to be mean to the actress, but just from the beginning, it's not good. And I don't know whose fault that is, if it's the directors, if it's I don't know. But you're telling me this is the best we can fucking do for a billion-dollar, multi-dollar fucking production? God, we're so fucked. So this character's main goal is to find a source code. A source code that will make, essentially, things permanent in the real world. Now, I'm not sure why both companies have the technology to print things in this universe, because why would she be looking for that source code if she didn't have her own 3D printing machine for digital technology, right? You wouldn't want the key if you didn't have the fucking box at home. But both companies need this source code to pretty much infinitely get the infinite money glitch. You need something, I'll 3D print it. Boom, instant money. And I didn't have to build anything. I get it, dude. Again, you had material to work with, and you did the bare minimum effort when to try. What is the bare minimum effort? Okay. Girl boss wants to save the universe by creating food for everybody and save the universe. Did we mention she's a girl and she's a boss? Because she wants to save the universe. Also, she has a stupid ass fucking Mexican sidekick, which sucks balls, it's fucking annoying, and is more Disney bullshit in terms of like, oh, guys aren't capable. Go fuck yourself. Man, go fuck yourself. Fucking burrito, breakfast burritos. Mine aren't frozen. And B, who is the natural opposing force to a girl boss who wants nothing than to save the universe? Of course, a male character that wants nothing more than to create money. Money! And I get it, it's fine, you know, it's fine. If that's who you want to present, that's fine, I don't give a shit. It's just the fact that we're not escaping these fucking Disney bullshit allegations. And again, I'm just so tired of feeling like if men have had a bad rap in these past few years for being testosterone-driven assholes, for being dicks that can't, like, you know, comprehend emotions, then I don't understand what's so great about celebrating just how shitty man is. We get it. I know. I understand. Maybe not to an extent that someone's in front of me telling me, hey, you did this to me, or they did this to me, or you make me feel this way. But the fact that you have all these plot points, all these things that you can talk about, yes, the military is so focused on using AI right now. It is the fucking hot ticket, and it is gonna kill us the moment it decides we do not deserve to use its technology. But regardless, nations are pushing forward with this technology. And we get one fucking scene where nations gather to witness this, but we don't get the reaction to when everything hits the fucking fan. Instead, we get, oh, I want to save the universe because I'm a female, and this male with testosterone is gonna kill us, which again, that checks out. But at the same time, that is literally all you fucking have to say about this. Because one guy with the power decides he wants more power, and he is willing to go beyond the borders of what is considered humane. Now that's an interesting concept. But instead we waste our time with Jared Leto feeling like, hey man, I don't belong here. Rain. And just having no real direction, honestly. It's a disappointment, to say the least. Because again, we've gone through Tron where we've witnessed what looks like a utopia on the outside is actually a dictatorship where freedom is not real. And we fight against that. We push for a better future. Leverage you. We push for a better future. And then we have to like learn from that. Instead, here you go, tronares. Instead, two, we develop a interesting universe, but our desire becomes twisted as humans do. Our power becomes greed, and soon it becomes another dystopian universe. And now C, number 3. Because we can, and because there is a demand for violence, mankind will provide the tools of destruction as long as there is a profit. What is a commentary on technology? An AI likes to feel rain. Pinocchio wants to be a real boy. And while that could have been like a interesting plot point, it's just feels like nothing matters in this film. Yes, you have this guy who is creating these like basically weapons of mass destruction on the guise of like, hey, the company needs to be number one. But it just feels like there's too much that is ignored. And sure, the main villain guy, I feel, has like he played that role very, very well in terms of like, yeah, you want to make me be an asshole, I will play that asshole. And there's a specific moment in the film where he goes from, I'm no longer an asshole, I'm about to kill somebody, making me an official bad person, like a shitty person officially. And it just feels like there was no need for that if the whole point was to get to a point where the AI itself would be like, no, I'm gonna do this job because you told me to do it, which is again the same point in 1, 2, and 3, as in the master control program is like, you told me to create a better universe, now I'm gonna be the dictator. Cool. Number 2, Clue, the copy of Jeff Bridges, goes like, you and I are gonna create a perfect universe, man. And then freaking Clue goes like, am I still to create a perfect universe? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna kill you now. Damn, there you go. And B and C, having the guy being like, well, I need the source code by any means necessary. And then AI goes like, did you say any means necessary? And yeah, shit hits the fan. Now, what am I saying here? I think that Disney really could have done something here. I believe that the Tron fans might have a better head on their shoulders than most fandoms. And I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just saying that if there is a straight up fandom of Tron, and these people who have observed a cybernetic world and have been inspired from the original presentation of a cybernetic world, I fully expect them to be tech savvy. And tech savvy in terms of like understanding AI, knowing how it affects our universe, and wanting those topics to be addressed. Yes, it's cute that we can hypothetically print unlimited food, and we can make apples, and we can cure world hunger, we can stop diseases, we can solve so much with the digital age presentations, and we could do a lot if these programs decided to, I don't know, work with humanity to create But instead, we're still so focused on the idea that, oh, one guy has one problem, or like, let's put the blame all on one person, rather than making it a societal issue, something that we can actually learn from, rather than being like, oh, that guy was a spoiled rich man brat or boy brat, and that's why he's a villain, because he's a boy and he has money. Did we tell you he has money? So yeah, I'm disappointed, not necessarily because of what was created, not what was built or made, but the loss of understanding, I want to say. It just really feels like most of this film was just people, what the fuck is wrong with her? Was just people going, oh, what made Tron cool? Lights, motorcycles, airplanes. And while you're not wrong, it's not the only thing that matters. And it's really dumb. I just like this. And it's really dumb that these guys just have so much to work with and cannot present like something of value, man. I do believe, I think my PC's breaking down. I do believe that Disney and whoever's in charge is that one female, and I don't want to make this about men and female and blah 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 and all that, but the fact that Jared Leto is the only character in this film that isn't made a joke as like a person, like as a man, quote unquote, like there's no females in here. Well, I guess there is one female that takes it straight, and that's Jared Leto talking to the mother of the guy, whatever. The only reason Jared Leto wasn't made to be a dumbass in this movie is because he has no emotions. And that says a lot about what we have these days. And it really bothers me, because you're essentially telling every man out there that in order to feel competent or to be admired, you need to be an emotionless slab of meat. Not just any emotionless slab of meat, an emotionless slab of meat with blue eyes and long hair. Well, at least I'm 2/3 there. And I don't know. I do like the Jared Leto character in terms of like, he could have been better. Like I understand what they started with and what they were hoping to get to, but there was really nothing in between that made me feel like that character had any value outside of just being a tool, again, a walking weapon for this girl, i.e. Terminator. Essentially, everybody at Disney said, we are out of ideas. We do not want to create a new digital universe. We just want to get the minimalist thing done. We'll be there for 5 seconds and then we'll come back to the real world, because Terminator. And that, if you really want to boil it down, is what we're looking at here. So, if you're wondering if the Tron Ares movie is that bad, quote unquote, I would just say that you're probably better off watching Terminator 2 Judgment Day, because at least then seeing AI in the real world actually makes sense. And why the fuck is it doing that again? Yeah, I don't know what happens to its PC. It's fucking bringing down. Windows 11 sucks. And That's where we're at. Was Tron Ares a terrible movie? It might surprise you, but I don't think so. There's 9-inch nails in the background, and I will fucking die on the hill saying that even though that music is good, it still doesn't fit as well as Daft Punk made their soundtrack. Because the Daft Punk soundtrack sounded like they had like emotions flowing out of their songs that fit with every scene. This film, while it did have the music a bit higher, I do like the soundtrack being louder in this because it's grungy, because it's like, oof, that's the shit I grew up on. It does feel like it's missing that connective tissue in terms of the story, the emotions, and the grunge that we feel from within. And as much as I really want to like this film, it has a lot of interesting visual effects, right? I do like seeing the new interpretation of technology. I like seeing how new equipment can work. Our visions, our dreams of a hypothetical of what a mecha pilot suit might look like in the future. But again, it feels less of we're trying to do something with the Tron's legacy and we're just shitting this out because we know girl bosses need another movie. And to that, I mean, I don't think we should be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, right? But by some miscalculation, I really thought I'd walk out of this feeling like we'd hit another, like, yo, this is almost like generational. Like, not only does it have 9-inch nails, but it has like this serious topic that we're in the middle of fucking dealing with. I don't fucking understand how you can be in the middle of this AI fucking revolution and have nothing to say about it. It's so fucking tiny brain. And that's why I hate Disney and this movie, even though I like the music. The actors suck, the concept is shit, and even though I like the visual elements and the design and the motorcycle scenes, I do feel like this probably had the best action choreography out of all of them. But it doesn't mean shit if you're just gonna waste my time by not making a point of technology, humans, and how we could learn from this. All we fucking learned is that guy was a dumbass and men are stupid. It wasn't the military that messed up. That would have been great. The guy is a little bitch and he sells a broken product to the military and the military releases it, and now the military and all of us as society have to deal with this shit. But instead, it is a feudal battle of, yes, I get it, big corporation versus big corporation. Let's call it Amazon versus Google. However, there's more than two fucking people. There is more than just red and fucking blue. And I'm so fucking tired of the universe and all these stupid ass executive producers presenting us two options: red pill or the blue pill. No, go fuck yourself. It is called life. It is called a choice. It is called a representation of humanity. Fucking do something with it rather than just shitting out money. I'm not even gonna try to like Google how much it took to make this movie, and I'm not even gonna bother to check how much this movie is gonna make, quote unquote, on the weekend box office, because I don't see them making a profit out of this, and that sucks because they literally sent this thing out to die. It's such a fucking disappointment that even in this moment, when you have so much lined up, ready for you to address, ready for you to do something special, something interesting with, you can't get your head out of your ass to be, oh, guys are dumb. Let's make a movie where the girl is the girl boss, and she's gonna hang out with Jared Leto because only cute, good-looking men deserve to be kinda cool, even though we don't want them to say much. Okay. All right. Whatever it is, whoever the fucking CEO is up at top right now, I know it's some woman. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I'm just disappointed that no matter what comes after this, it can't. There's no way whatever comes after this is gonna have anything of value to say. So you might be wondering, what did happen to the Sam character? You know, that one guy that escaped the grid because his father let him go for free, you know, because his dad saved his life, and you know, the IO that was supposed to change the universe and all that. What happened? Well, if I was a actual smart guy, I would probably tell you that there's probably gonna be another Tron film where the Sam character's gonna come back with that other girl, and then they're gonna have to group up with Jared Leto and that new girl, and they're gonna have to do some crazy new AI universal tech thing, maybe AI versus the universe this time. But now I don't know, and now I don't think I want to know, because I don't know, man. Although I I do like the visual and what it was going to be, the fact that that's what makes them think that they're allowed to give us this shit and like think that it's okay is like, nah, man. Something needs to change. Something needs to stop, and it's probably my fault for fucking technically paying for those tickets, even though I was gonna not pay for them. But you know, you could only get the 3 glasses if you get the ticket, the actual dedicated ticket. Then yeah, they even jipped me of my jippiness of them, and that does tickle me in the wrong direction. But hey, I'm just a guy, just a brain guy, and I really do hope that we can be smarter than this. In a current moment of disappointment, and just every day is another opportunity to be disappointed by certain people that are in charge of certain parts of this world. Yeah, I'm not excited, nor do I feel like there's much to believe in. And I just, at this point, honestly, just let it die. I think Disney should just die. And I don't know. Is that outlandish for me to say? Because I don't think they're doing anything beneficial for anybody. And maybe Zootopia might do something, but real talk, Zootopia, number one, was this underlying issues of racism between the animals, right? Like being judged for appearances and blah 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 blah. I don't even know what the fuck these guys can even come up with for the number 2, what the end point is, or what the through line is, or whatever. And I really hope that if Zootopia has nothing to show for itself, like nothing to say, nothing of value, nothing of importance, nothing of insight, nothing of brainiacs, nothing of wisdom, just basic ass fucking decency, then I really hope Disney is done. I don't know. I'm just done with this. I'm just done with this. Real talk. the straw that broke the camel's back was Lilo and Stitch, but everything after that has just been more of a reason to just not want this. And obviously they're too big to just fucking go away now, obviously, but it's just so bad, man. It really is so bad. If you like technology, if you like experiencing, I can't even say that. If you like mecha, you know, if you like motorcycles, if you, I'm not even, just wait for it on Disney Plus. Even then, don't buy Disney Plus. Not enough can be said, man. Not enough can be said just how badly they missed the shot on this. Just again, just the idea that you have so much to work with in this current timeline, what we're dealing with right now, and you just shit out nothing is such a fucking disappointment. And I don't want to say too much, but whoever's in charge right now, you need to fucking check yourself really fucking hard. Because this shit is not going to last. And I really hope it doesn't. For your sake, for my sake, and for the internet's sake. But until then, it's been your boy, EXP, 626 Stitch, signing off. Wishing you a good day, buenos dias, and a better tomorrow. But until then, hasta la próxima. Ciao. I'm gonna go ride on my motorcycle, just get the shit out of